All right, so picture this. It's your day off work, you really want to go fishing, but they're calling for thunderstorms. What are you gonna do? We all want a little bit more time on the water for fishing. Yesterday, I was kind of in that same predicament. I decided to go anyways. In this video, I'm gonna tell you some of the mistakes that I made, some of the risks that I took, and what I did to stay safe as the storm passed. Dodging thunderstorms here. This is not another lightning safety video. This is about fishing with storms in the area safely. Although I do recommend that you check out a video or two all about lightning safety. By the way, my name's Ben. I'm a paddlehead. So plain and simple, it is not safe being on the water during a lightning storm. The government of Canada recommends that if you're on the water, you should head to land as soon as possible at the first signs of a storm. I'll list a couple resources down below if you want to do some more reading on this topic. Here's a wild fact. Lightning can travel up to 19 kilometers from a thunderstorm. So if you can hear thunder, you're at risk of being hit by lightning technically. So of course, don't be on the water when there's a lightning storm. But sometimes you get caught, sometimes they sneak up on you, and sometimes forecasts can fool you. Or sometimes, some people are just gonna push their luck anyways. It's good to know the risks so that you can try and avoid any kind of mishaps or any kind of accidents. Hopefully by the end of this video, you'll be able to assess your own situation and decide what level of risk you're willing to take on and decide, is a fish really worth your life? So I hear a lot in musky fishing that the fish can feed really heavily sometimes right before a storm, and that going fishing when there's storms in the area can be really good fishing. So I was kind of willing to take a bit more risk yesterday. I still haven't caught my first muskie of the season, and when I looked at the forecast, it said scattered thunderstorms. So I knew that if there was any kind of storms coming around, they were gonna be moving through and they're gonna continue on. So the first thing I did to manage my risk is I checked the forecast and I tried to understand what was going to happen. And there were a bunch of indicators to say that any storms that did move into the area weren't gonna be around for long. So if any storms did approach, I would be able to just get off the water for a little while, wait for them to pass and continue fishing. Or so I thought. So I looked for a place where I would be a little bit more sheltered from the wind and a place where I could fish mostly close to the shoreline. And this thought eliminated a bunch of bodies of water for me, especially eliminating lakes. I'm in a fishing kayak, so I can't really travel too fast. And with storms, it could be 1 minute, you see the clouds on the horizon. 2 minutes later, it's unleashing its fury right on top of you. And I've seen firsthand a few times now what fury a storm can unleash on you within a matter of minutes.
Dude, actually look at that cloud, it's like a band. Is that hail? Yeah, it is.
This is unreal. And so I chose a body of water where I knew I had an escape plan. I already knew the spots where I would be able to get off the water and onto shore if a storm did roll in. And you want to consider, is the shoreline actually suitable to get out on? Is it hard enough? Is it kind of a mess? Because some shorelines aren't. Some sections of this river, the shoreline isn't that great to get out onto. Something else to consider is, will I be forced to try and seek shelter on private land? And that's something where it really pays to kind of know the local area, know whether or not people are friendly. And so I've come to learn that my first mistake was that I was too close to the water. It wasn't safe to be that close. If lightning does strike near the water, it can travel quite the distance. So they recommend 100 meters from the shoreline. The lightning could have traveled up through the water if it did strike right near me. Also, when you're trying to think of the area, think, can I avoid wide open spaces or very tall objects? Because lightning will be attracted to the tall objects or to you if you're in the middle of a field. Now, of course, in a storm, lightning isn't the only concern. Wind can also cause catastrophe. Wind can create, out of nowhere, really big waves that can be difficult to try and paddle against if you are trying to get to shore. Also, the wind can make it very difficult to try and paddle quickly to shore. So when you make it to shore, you're gonna wanna find somewhere safe to hang out. And beware of the lightning, of course. So you don't wanna be too close to trees, but you also don't wanna be way out in the open. This is kind of my best option right now. It's not ideal. I mean, I've got a bit of an opening up there. But luckily, all of these trees around me seem very healthy. So I'm not afraid of any of them falling on me if the wind picks up like it did. And I did hear some trees falling when I first got here over in the forest there. Or even look for trees that might be uprooted. If you know you're on a bunch of flat rock and there's not a lot of soil there, that can happen too. Or if it's like a marshy, swampy area, trees near the swamp could also be uprooted with the soft soil. I know, it's a very particular area that you gotta try and find to be safe from a storm. It's just not safe to be out in a storm. So again, just try and avoid it if you can. These mosquitoes are driving me nuts. What if the storm didn't pass and it just happened to roll in and stick around? Would I be able to walk out of there? That's something else I considered with this spot. So this next part may come as a bit of a surprise, but it is still potentially possible to get hypothermia in the summer if it's raining and you're wet and you're not prepared for it. So consider that too. Can you wait it out and still be warm? Being wet can do a lot to quickly drop your core temperature, and that's all it takes to get hypothermia. And honestly, yesterday I was getting a little cold while I was waiting for that storm to pass. Now, I'm not hypothermic, not worried about that, but it was chilly, that's for sure. So Adam and I feel pretty strongly about always wearing your PFDs on the water, but some of you may still be of the mind frame of, I'm a good enough swimmer. I don't need to wear my PFD all the time. We're not gonna sit here and lecture you and try and tell you otherwise, but I do wanna say it's pretty hard to swim when you're knocked unconscious. When lightning strikes, who knows what could happen. There's a chance that you could be knocked unconscious, or if you fall, smash your head off of a rock, or a tree comes down and hits you on the head, you could be knocked unconscious, and you won't be doing much swimming at that point. Another reason I wear my PFD is because in an extreme emergency situation, I do have some extra things like fire starter, a lighter, some rope, a safety knife. I'm prepared to stay the night if I really need to. If crap really hits the fan, things really go downhill, I'm ready, or I'm trying to be ready at least. And also, wearing your PFD can actually keep you a little bit warmer, give you a little bit more insulation. Okay, so how do you know when to get off the water and when can you get back on the water? You may have heard about the trick about counting the amount of time between the flash of the lightning and the sound of the thunder to try and give you an estimate as far as what the distance is. Mississippi. Okay, I gotta get out of this forest. Let's go record somewhere else. Anyways, as I was saying, the conversion for changing seconds into kilometers is this, and the conversion for changing seconds into miles is this. Now, this is a very rough estimate, and the atmosphere can actually change how fast sound will travel, so this can kind of change. So let's say you're on the water and you just did the estimate, and you estimated that the storm is about 25 kilometers away. You think, oh, that's plenty of time to get off of the water. Now that may be true, but consider that the storm is also traveling. The storm is moving with the wind. And storms can travel on an average about like 20 kilometers an hour. Some of the more extreme weather systems can travel at speeds of like 65 to 80 kilometers an hour. So they can move in pretty fast, pretty wild. So that's why the government in Canada tells you once you hear thunder, just get off the water. Stay off the water, because it's really hard to judge how far away that storm is and how long you actually have to get off the water. Some paddling groups use the 30-30 rule, where they count 30 seconds between the time they see the flash and the time they hear the thunder, and if it's any less than 30 seconds, then they'll get off the water immediately, and then they stay off the water for 30 minutes after they hear the last sound of thunder. Okay, let's get off the water.
3, 4. Jesus.
So there's a bit of a guideline that you can follow yourself if you choose to. But again, it's at your own risk. I'm not condoning this. I'm not recommending that you go out during a storm. So yesterday when I was on the water, at first I didn't see any lightning. I just heard the thunder. So I decided, okay, it's time to make my way to shore and get off the water. And I'm glad I did. So here comes another one of my mistakes. After that first storm rolled through, I didn't wait 30 minutes before I got on the water. I forgot about this rule, to be honest, And I just waited until I counted 10 seconds in between lightning and thunder, which isn't a great idea, I've come to realize, and I won't be doing that in the future. 1/3 of all lightning casualties happen because people get on the water too soon after a storm has passed. And that's part of the reason I wanted to make this video, is so that you don't make the same mistakes I made, and you can try and assess and take your own educated risks. Educated risks, is that a good way to put it? So as I was out there on the water, another storm rolled through and I beelined it for sure. Those clouds look super nasty. That looks nasty. Once that storm hit, the winds just instantly picked up. There were waves on the water. The rain was coming down super hard. And right when I got to shore, I heard trees in the forest falling over or branches coming down. So I was glad that I had a nice spot to wait that out. Now that storm lasted about 50 minutes. And then I, again, mistakenly, that was 10 Mississippis. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 8 Mississippi, 9 Mississippi, 10 Mississippi. I think that's good. Only waited until I got a distance of 10 seconds in between my lightning and my thunder, and then I decided to head back out onto shore. I was a little worried that another storm was gonna roll through and I was just gonna be stuck there all night, and I really didn't want to do that. So I made my way for the boat launch. If you found this video helpful at all, maybe consider hitting that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you want to know what else I keep in my PFD, check out this video right here. Stay safe, and remember, there's no fish that's worth your life. We'll catch you later. Wow, the mosquitoes really are not letting up. I have to outrun them constantly. They're chewing up my legs. Too bad the fish weren't chewing up my baits.